After 12 weeks of Ultimate, the best in the West are set to battle for a division title and a trip to championship weekend. The top-seeded San Diego Growlers arrive on a 5-game winning streak with home field advantage and the determination to dethrone Dallas. But the Roughnecks' track record of playoff success is undeniable, and Dallas is again just one win away from a 5th consecutive championship weekend. One of these teams will move on. The other season will end. Roughnecks and Growlers, set to clash here on the DraftKings Dream stream. Next.
The sun is setting and the stars are getting ready to shine here in the Mission Bay neighborhood of San Diego. The question before us tonight, which team's stars will shine brighter? With a berth to championship weekend on the line, you see the 8 teams that have qualified for the AUDL 2021 playoffs. Only 4 teams will advance to Washington, D.C. 2 weekends from now. Tonight's game featuring the San Diego Growlers and the Dallas Roughnecks is the West Division Championship game. So thrilled you've joined us, Ian Toner, alongside Megan Tormey. Megan, these teams matched up twice this year. They got the better of each other one time. You had front row seats there. We've got some different rosters tonight. What do you expect the X factor to be in this playoff game?
Well, San Diego has really worked to fine-tune their consistency in terms of performance throughout the season. So even with the addition of throwing powerhouse Jonathan Nethercutt, I expect to see a very similar product to what we've seen before. Dallas Roughnecks have been hamstrung by injuries this season and have some stars available who they haven't yet had. So we're really going to see these teammates work together in dynamic and different ways tonight.
Well, one of those guys that's been battling injury all year is Kyle Henke. Multiple points this season. We thought his year was over. All he did, put on a cast, put up video game numbers, get surgery, come back in record time. Megan, is there anything he can't do?
If there is, we have not yet seen it in. This man is quite the force on the field. He's really slotted into the offense well, making great grabs, putting up 24 goals. The other thing he does, make huge blocks for Dallas. So you can expect him to be on the field and be an impact tonight.
Moments ago, San Diego Growlers head coach Kevin Stewart told us the most important phase of the game for his team is offense's efficiency and execution. And the man asked to shoulder that load tonight, the man who's led the team in assists the last 3 seasons, Travis Dunn.
He has been such a consistent and important force for the Growlers offense, not just with his beautiful, huge throws, but that spacing that he creates with those puts. Teams try and mitigate him by blocking his big puts, but then he just attacks the deep space and is just as lethal down the field. And at that point, it comes down to whether or not anyone can stop him.
Well, a beautiful night for Ultimate here, a marquee matchup in front of us, a light thrower's wind that a bunch of Huckers are going to love. What more could you ask for with a spot to championship weekend on the line? The Roughnecks coming in. There's Max Hume getting loose with some hacky sack. The Bubble Buddies, Abe Coffin and Kyle Henke, wrapping their cast before they put their cleats on. Chris Mazer stepping into this Dallas O-line. Jonathan Nethercutt stepping into the San Diego O-line. Goose Helton, revenge on his mind. Dallas has ended his season each of the last 3 years. Opening pull coming up next.
They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but there is at DraftKings. You can compete for thousands in prizes in our free-to-play pools without spending a dime. Put your knowledge to the test by answering questions about specific games or events. The more you pick right, the better your shot to win and chow down on a cash casserole. Casserole. Download the DraftKings app now. Enter with the promo code PLAYFREE for thousands and make it rain.
You got to look there at the Dallas Roughnecks sideline. Kyle Henke getting set to start on offense after his D-line gets the game started. Megan, what are your keys to this game for each of these teams?
Well, Dallas really has to focus on their matchup. They've got some big players on the Growlers that they're looking to stop. Travis Dunn, Lior Gaval. They have to make sure that the players who they're putting on those individuals are going to do their job and stop them from making big impacts. For the Growlers, we've said it before, it is absolutely imperative that their offense come out and stay consistent. If they can do that, their defense will, of course, keep them in the game.
Dallas starting on defense, San Diego on offense with a light wind at its back. There's Tim Okita, first throw. Paul Lally making a great grab to secure possession up to Goose Helton. Attacking up the sideline, there's Okita into the end zone. Lior Gaval has it. And after a slightly scary first throw, some four-side offense all the way down the field. San Diego's got its first hold and a 1-0 lead.
And this is exactly the kind of speed that they need to come out with. Their offense has to perform this flawlessly, this fluidly all game long. Assistant coach Kayla Helton talked about leading up to this week how the offense had individual Zoom meetings where they talked about doing the small things correctly, focusing on their system, not thinking so much about the opposing team, but rather thinking about the shape that they wanted their offense to look like. That was a classic example of what the Growler offense can do.
First look at the Dallas Roughnecks offense here as San Diego pulls into the win. Matt Jackson centers it up to Gabe Hernandez. We saw him transition over to the Roughnecks O-line in the middle of Week 7, and he's been nothing but sensational in that role, Megan.
Yeah, we talked about how the Growlers have been, the Roughnecks have had to battle with injuries, and the interesting thing that has come out of it is we've gotten different looks from different players, Hernandez being probably my favorite example of how a role has switched and you've watched them do new and interesting things.
Hernandez gets the disc, pick called downfield, so that disc goes back to Matt Jackson and he'll walk it back 10 yards. As you hear the San Diego crowd starting to stomp to life here. Disc comes in on the referee's whistle, and Matt Jackson fakes and throws it inside to Richardson. Richardson, another one of those players that wasn't available all season long. He and Chris Mazer, huge additions to this offensive group. A great grab there by Matt Jackson. As Kaplan Maurer works it inside 10 yards from the goal line. Jackson working relentlessly in that backfield. A scuba over the top, dug out by Henke. Points for the Hammer, throws it, it's hanging. Knocked away by Growler defender Michael Tran, and that's our first turnover of the game on Dallas's first O-point of the game.
That's the kind of pressure that the Growler defense can really mount. They just close the space, and make teams throw poor decisions like that Hammer.
As the referees signal, a timeout was called before that last throw got off. The stall count was certainly rising. Ultimate fans play in a free AUDL pool on DraftKings for a shot at $1,000 in prizes. Just answer a series of questions on the results of the second half, get enough correct, and take home your share of $1,000. Download the DraftKings app and sign up with promo code AUDL. So San Diego, with its first chance to break, calls a timeout, backed up against its own goal line. Megan, do you have any expectations for what you want to see from San Diego with this opportunity so early in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be difficult to come out of a stoppage like this and be able to flow as flawlessly as we saw them flow in that first point. But I definitely expect them to set up intelligently and get that disc moving immediately to try and step ahead of Dallas's defense in this moment.
Well, in their June win here in San Diego against Dallas, San Diego converted 66% of its break opportunities. And then in their July loss, in Texas, they only converted 42% of those break opportunities. So it gives you a sense of just how important these are, especially early in the game.
Here we see Dallas stepping up in a double team, and talking with Coach Stewart before the game, he mentioned the 2019 championship matchup where the Growlers lost against Dallas, and they were incredibly impacted by the Dallas double team. Coach Stewart spent a lot of time in the offseason thinking about how he would coach his team into handling that double team. We've seen them do so much better this season against Dallas just for that reason, that championship game.
Deep shot going up to Dunn. Ben Lewis giving chase. He can't get there. San Diego's got the first break of the game and a 2-0 lead. Well, Megan, no surprise there to see those teams shift their personnel during the timeout. San Diego puts its offense out there. Dallas puts its defense out there. But it's San Diego's O that wins that point.
Yeah, and again, we watch Dunn in the backfield. When he sees that he's not able to get open to get the space that he wants, he immediately attacks downfield. We know that he wants that, but it is still so tricky as a defender to keep your eyes on someone you expect to be a handler and react appropriately when that person starts streaking deep. Dunn is so incredibly effective at hitting that deep space from the handler position when he sees the possibility opening up.
So many questions heading into this weekend. How would Jonathan Nethercutt be used? And we see that this Growlers offensive unit not afraid to deploy him as an offensive hucker right off the bat, stepping into that one and unleashing an upwind huck for that first break of the game. Dallas's offense back on the field. Khalif El-Salam gets a piece of Mathis's throw, and it's another turnover. Milardovich picks up. Growlers with their second break chance in as many points. Here's Hunter Corbett. Gets it up the line to Turner. The refs do call a foul after a few seconds. Some contact from Gabe Hernandez. Turner now 10 yards outside the end zone. Resets off the line to El-Salam. Salam surveys the inside window. Gets it up. Shackner into the end zone. And Jordan Queckborner reels it in. It looks like he made contact with Hunter Corbett's head, though. San Diego's up 3-0. 2 for 2 on break opportunities. And we'll have to keep an eye on Hunter Corbett's status for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's difficult to communicate when you're both attempting to make the score. Two players going in at the same time, but there was that great D from Khalif. Hankey unable to save the disc after Khalif's D, and then you see how quickly the Growlers were prepared to score.
Khalif El-Salam, a new addition to this Growlers team this season. And Megan, you were talking to him earlier this week. He said the commitment, the buy-in, the preparation, the commitment to excellence up and down the roster, star player to practice player, is unparalleled in his experience.
And I think that you see in that final product how that plays out. I mean, San Diego has just consistently got a little bit better every game throughout the season. We've seen them function well and learn from their mistakes in really dynamic ways.
Abe Coffin shooting deep. Ben Lewis is all alone, completely unmarked. Talk about blown coverage. Dallas sends out its D-line to play this O-point, and then Abe Coffin, with the cast on his left hand, uncorks this backhanded huck, and Ben Lewis just has to reel that one in like a can of corn. I'd wager that might be the easiest hold Dallas is going to get this game unless we see another blown coverage instance.
I am sure that Coach Stewart is not going to let that particular play happen again.
Ben Lewis, such an important part of this Dallas Roughnecks defense. He had 2 blocks and 3 goals in the July win against San Diego, and he leads the team in blocks with 17. That's good for 10th in the AUDL. Here's San Diego's offense back on the field. Helton resets to Nethercutt. Travis Dunn shooting deep right away, no hesitation. Givall is there, and he reels it in! Well, this San Diego offense just working in motion. And Travis Dunn, an in-rhythm throw. Maybe it hangs a touch more than he wanted. And Lior Givall, maybe giving up an inch or two there on Mason Wunsch, is able to clap catch that one.
Yeah, good point. Just slight tweaks on execution, but overall performance of the offense. I mean, you saw how much width of the field they used in those 3 throws. It made it incredibly difficult for Dallas to keep up defensively. So this is, again, exactly what Coaches Stewart and Helton were aiming to get from their offensive players, this team, and they are coming out doing exactly what the coaches designed.
Dallas's offense stepping back out onto the field. Gabe Hernandez here working against a double team, but he throws right through it to Kyle Henke. Henke resets to Jackson. He's been doing so much work in the backfield. Less than 6 minutes into this game. Dallas's offense commits another pick. That'll back them up 10 yards as the clock continues to tick here in the first quarter. Jackson rips deep to Richardson right away. Turner in the area. Richardson comes down with it. Looks for his options. Michael Mathis is there, unmarked. And Dallas has its second goal of the game.
There have been so many Dallas players I have heard say they wish Kevin Richardson was healthy. He is a favorite player of a number of individuals on the Dallas Roughnecks. It's really great to have him playing today. And you saw that stutter step on his reception. He was able to keep ahead of his defenders in that way. Really smart play from Kaplan Maurer, cutting the way he did to draw the 2 defenders into the end zone, leaving the door wide open for Mathis. You see Kaplan here running, streaking in front, pulling the defenders with him, making that wide open shot for Mathis.
Richardson, a long-time part of this Roughnecks core, as opposed to some of the other pieces on that O-line, like Michael Mathis, who was one of the new additions from the Austin Soul. So many of those pieces came over to this Roughnecks team this season. Goose Helton shoots deep for San Diego. A crossfield shot. Travis Dunn is there. It's got help from the wind, and it's into his hands.
That was a beauty of a put from Jonathan Goose Helton. I mean, look at how quickly he turns around, recognizes that Dunn has steps on his defender, and the shape of that throw intended for Dunn's hands exclusively.
The second O point in a row for San Diego, where we see a right-handed thrower on that near sideline unleash a flick huck that slightly goes across the field and has the wind help it into the arms of the receivers.
Goose talked about how excited he was to have Nethercutt on the field tonight, which would enable him to go downfield a little bit more. Nethercutt, such a reliable reset handler, in addition to a number of other things that Nethercutt does well. But Goose definitely showing off his throws with that put to Dunn.
And with that put, Jonathan Goose Helton moves into first place all time on the AUDL's assist leaderboard. He was tied with Keenan Plew heading into this game, and now he has that record all for himself.
I have to think Keenan Plew can be nothing but proud to have his former teammate be the one to break his record.
Dallas's offense back out on the field as Mazer resets to Jackson. They play catch at midfield. Mazer with a nice inside break. And Mathis back to Hernandez. Across to Henke, and the throw was behind him. An unforced error from the Dallas O, and El Salam rips deep right away. Corbett is there. And he makes the catch! Hunter Corbett undeterred by the pressure and the hand on the disc by Matt Jackson. And San Diego's got another break here in this first quarter.
I mean, that was a fantastic last-ditch effort from Jackson, but Corbett able to put in just a little more effort to lay out and make that save.
Khalif El-Salam uncorking an upwind backhand. As you see, Matt Jackson applying pressure. He got his hand on it initially. That knocked it further. And Hunter Corbett, he looks like he's doing okay after that earlier collision with Jordan Queckborner.
Yeah, I'll say he made that layout with absolutely no space to spare. I mean, that disc was so close to the ground when he stopped rotation on that disc.
Dallas intentionally pulling this disc. Beg your pardon, San Diego intentionally pulling this disc over to the sideline. Set up a double team. Dalton Smith, just his third game this season, gets it off the line in a high stall situation. A perfect throw there to Connor Olson. San Diego transitions back into matchup defense. Abe Coffin shooting deep for Richardson. Richardson on the goal line now. He's got all the time in the world, and he dishes to the trailer, Connor Olson. And once again, we see the Dallas traditional D-line crossing over and securing a hold for the Roughnecks.
Great put to Richardson and great composure from Richardson. You notice him looking into the end zone, not seeing anything, turns, finds Olsen, cutting into that front corner of the end zone.
It's almost like Abe Coffin is trying to show the world, hey, I can perform just as strongly, if not better, than Kyle Henke can with a cast on too.
They both have a lot to prove with the cast on, for sure. You can't be outdone by your fellow castmate.
Dallas pulling with the wind at its back. San Diego's offense coming out here, and they center to Jonathan Nethercutt. Again, this is just the second game of 2021 that he's playing with these San Diego Growlers. Paul Lally, a staple of Southeast teams, centers to Nethercutt, and Nethercutt's hammer is reeled in by Helton. Larberg sold out for the block, couldn't get there, into the end zone. Another hold for San Diego as Kyle Rubin reels that one in for the Growlers.
Well, they certainly did not tell Nethercutt that he was not allowed to throw big throws this game. They did not want to cage him, but they did make it clear that his role was to be a distributor. But you saw the immediate chemistry and trust that Nethercutt had when he made that put to Helton. Those two, a number of games played together on the Raleigh Flyers. That trust, that connection working out for them there. Growlers' offense is just clicking.
Some fearless upwind throws there from Nethercutt and Helton, making that point possible as Khalif El-Salam uncorks a pull. Some confusion on who was going to field it. Matt Jackson picks it up and centers to Mazer. Up to Kaplan Maurer. San Diego throwing a junky look here. Not quite into man-to-man matchup assignments yet. Kyle Henke coming into that handler space, trying to exploit those narrow lanes at the front of this zone defense. Mazer gives and goes. Gets it back from Maurer. Resets to Jackson. Around to Maurer. Inside to Mazer. Thought about the around backhand, didn't pull the trigger. Gabe Hernandez Throw to the front corner, and Kaplan Maurer is fired up.
Well, it is certainly taking the Roughneck offense a lot of throws to get the disc into the end zone. The Growlers defense is making them look twice before they put the disc. All the same, you have to give credit to the Roughnecks for exhibiting so much patience at that point. And the downfield receivers did a really great job of continuing to stretch themselves and make cuts so that at no point did the Growler defense, as it came out in that junky look, at no point were they able to get settled and force the offense to get stagnant.
We get a look at the Roughnecks O-line huddle. You saw Henry Ferruta in his cutoff Patriots hoodie doing his best Bill Belichick impersonation. Ferruta, another one of those players who had been active much of the year, and one of those tough, active roster decisions that the coaching staff and leadership had to make when it came time to set this weekend's roster. Jonathan Nethercutt with the disc now for San Diego. Finds Helton underneath. Continues to Dunn. Dunn to Givall. Givall leads Dunn to space, and he's in the end zone. Well, the last 2 points, we saw the San Diego throwers stretch the field. At this point, they take all the unders.
Yeah, and I mean that's the huge thing, that when San Diego is reactive to what they're seeing on the defense, then their offense continues to operate at the speed that is lightning fast. I mean, we saw that in their second game of the back-to-back when they traveled to Texas. They started out and just came out totally flat against Austin. Austin came out with 4 breaks. They were able to put on so much pressure that they could barely complete 3 passes before there was a turnover. And once Travis Dunn started attacking the deep space, Gavall also recognized, and those 2 connections really turned the game around. We're seeing them operate with that same kind of reaction and recognition tonight.
Lior Givall led the Growlers with 29 goals on the season. He's already got 2 tonight as Dallas's offense comes back out onto the field. Maurer resets to Hernandez. Hernandez gets it to Mazer. Some tight pressure here on these resets as Dallas looks like they're fighting for every yard and every reset here in this possession, Megan.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the defensive pressure is really forcing a number of throws. It almost is making Dallas look uncomfortable in a way I haven't seen.
And Jackson with a short field turnover. San Diego off to the races right away. Into the end zone. Jordan Quickborner is there. San Diego with its biggest lead against the Dallas Roughnecks of this season, 9-4 here in the first quarter.
Yeah, I certainly thought it was possible for the Growlers to come out and look a little more polished, but we are seeing some intense pressure. I mean, that turnover from Matt Jackson, you don't expect him to make that kind of error. And then the speed with which the Growlers responded and came out with that score, I mean, they are just looking overly prepared for this game tonight.
Well, when Dallas beat San Diego in July, that was a 19-15 victory for the Roughnecks. That game was 4-4 after the first quarter. When San Diego beat Dallas in June, that game was 6-5 Dallas after the first quarter. A much different opening stanza in this decisive playoff game, as Dallas once again sends out its D-line to play offense as the clock ticks down here in the first quarter. Coffin tries to reset to Olsen, and it makes it into the hands of Dalton Smith. Another pick call. Dallas continues marching back. There's Dalton Smith with the disc. Again, Dalton suiting up for Dallas just the third time this season. Limited by injury, and he's been a commuting player this year. So we see another call that gives Dallas 10 yards back after that initial pick call. The referee's working to reset the clock and make sure we have the appropriate time left. We've got 27 seconds here in the first quarter. Smith looking at his options, goes with a scuba. Smith gets it back right away, hounded by Silverman. A lot of physicality there, a little high five of sorts, just respecting the competition between those two. Olsen to Armour. Smith. 12 seconds left now. Smith looking for his options. Into the end zone, Griffin Miller, and it's knocked away by Hunter Corbett. Three seconds left here in the first quarter. The clock stopped because that disc went out of bounds. And we're going to have a Hail Mary situation with San Diego traveling upwind. I beg your pardon, instead of 3 seconds, the refs reset the clock to 4 seconds. Jeff Silverman in the end zone. They wind the clock, let that one run out. They don't need to take any shots there. And San Diego earning 5 blocks and going 4 of 5 on defensive breaks here in this first quarter. One of those blocks there sealing this 9-4 lead from Hunter Corbett, with Dallas threatening in the red zone, Megan.
I mean, Dallas was left with no option. Griffin Miller was trying to sneak one past, to eke one in here at the end of the first quarter. Growlers, eyes open, were so quick to make that D.
1 quarter down, 3 quarters to go. Spot to championship weekend still on the line. 9-4 San Diego. We'll be right back.
They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but there is at DraftKings. You can compete for thousands in prizes in our free-to-play pools without spending a dime. Put your knowledge to the test by answering questions about specific games or events. The more you pick right, the better your shot to win and chow down on a cash casserole. Casserole. Download the DraftKings app now. Enter with the promo code PLAYFREE for thousands and make it rain.
Well, this hometown San Diego crowd has to like what it sees after 1 quarter of play. The Growlers storming out to a 9-4 lead against the Dallas Roughnecks here in the West Division title game. San Diego 5 for 5 on offensive holds, 4 for 5 on defensive breaks, and 3 for 3 in the red zone. Hard to imagine a better start for this Growlers team, Megan.
I mean, you look at those numbers, it is about as perfect as it gets. And San Diego, we've said it before, just came out completely prepared. They thought about all the different scenarios in terms of who Dallas might put on the field, so their matchups were sound. And offensively, the small tweaks that they made are really making them shine. I mean, their offense is just firing so quickly. Dallas is having a hard time even getting the opportunity to potentially generate a block.
Chris Mazur rips it deep right away. And this Huck trails out of bounds. Kevin Richardson chased as best he could. Mazur working with the wind at his back in that situation. And that right-handed backhand just curling and hooking out of bounds on that far sideline. San Diego with a break opportunity. We've got a whistle. A pick was called, and San Diego will have to back up 10 yards. Steven Milardovich gets things going. A nice inside break to Hunter Corbett. Corbett breaks the mark around to Khalif El-Salam. Mazur sells out on the mark to stop that backhanded Huck from going up. And then El-Salam takes off. Corbett shoots to him. There's two receivers in the area. And El-Salam drops it.
I don't believe that.
Milardovich peeled off and let El-Salam have that one, but just couldn't reel it in. A gift for this Dallas offense. A second chance at life here in this opening point of the second quarter.
And we will see if they're able to utilize that gift.
Cheeky high release backhand over the mark from Matt Jackson. Coffin throws around the double team before it can set. Kaplan Maurer at midfield. Another pick call, and Dallas will back it up once again. Lots of traffic in that Dallas stack downfield. Maurer moves the mark and then gets the inside break off to Richardson. And the throw goes behind Coffin. And that wasn't to his left side, the side that he's got his cast on. The second turn that we've seen where there's just like a little miscommunication at the front of that stack, Megan. As San Diego throws another break opportunity out of bounds. Hernandez tries to shoot over the stack. Hankey reels it in and shoots to the end zone. Mazur's running it down, and he's there.
What a beautiful bid from Mazur when his team really needed it. I mean, there is a lot to unpack in that point. Certainly more turns than we have seen in a single point so far. I mean, that turnover from Khalif, I still can't quite believe what I saw.
Well, there's the first one from Mazur to Richardson. Here's the second one that El-Salam could have scored. The throw from Richardson behind Coffin. And then Turner's shot just out of the sideline, and then Mazur reels it in to bring that one to an end. Coming into that point, San Diego had yet to turn the disc over in this game. Dallas makes sure to send this pull out of bounds on that far sideline and set up the double team. San Diego with the super dump with Connor Olson in the area. And strategically, that's exactly what you want to see, Megan.
Absolutely, and Olson so wise to position himself just behind the defender and so quick to release for that score. Great recognition from Olson, getting the D, setting himself up on the sideline, and immediately putting to his teammate.
The Dallas Roughnecks showing signs of life here as their strategic adjustment helps force a turnover, and then they attack right away. The reset intended for Nethercutt on that near sideline doesn't connect, and wow, what a throw from Connor Olson. A no pivot, low release backhand. And West Meow right there at the front corner able to reel that one in. Connor Olson, head coach Jim Davis talks about him as the heart and soul, the anchor of this Dallas Roughnecks D-line. San Diego back on offense, centering to Nethercutt once again. He gets it up to Lally. Lally fakes the deep shot. Resets Nutt in space. Pick called downfield. San Diego moves back 10 yards. Lally uses that opportunity to set himself up in the reset space. Great dump defense there from Michael Mathis, forcing a couple hesitations there. San Diego keeps working. A bid that rolls up onto the ankle of Goose Helton. Ben Lewis looking a little dangerous with that one. The referees do call the foul, and Helton gains 10 yards. We saw a small slap of the hands there. This throw goes up, and it's reeled in by Gavall. And then Jonathan Nethercutt finds Jesse Cohen in the end zone. We thought Dalton Smith was going to knock that disc down, and Dallas's defense might have another shot at it. Gavall sticks with it, and San Diego's offense finishes the job.
Yeah, they're certainly being forced in some more uncomfortable margins by the Dallas defense at this point. A matchup I particularly enjoyed was Armor on Nethercutt. It was really putting some intense pressure on there. And you saw how tight that margin was for Nutt to throw to Cohen. So having to work through some tighter spaces, but the Growler offense still prevails that point.
Jesse Cohen getting on the score sheet for the first time tonight. Only active for 7 games in the regular season, but he's got just over 3 goals per game in those games that he's active for, and that's best on the Growlers this year. Dallas's offense back on the field. Maurer breaks the mark to Henke, who has it go off his shoulder. Megan, I wonder if the cast impeded his ability to catch that one.
Was definitely wondering the same thing, Ian.
Tran picks up and gets it off the sideline to Milardovic. Milardovic to Hume. Pick called. San Diego will back up 10 yards. The disc is actually going to go back to Milardovic, so he'll back up 10 yards with the disc in his hand. Tricky reset there to Tran. You saw the wind bouncing that one up the air. Hernandez so close to getting that block on Hume. Hume looking for El Salam. And San Diego had called a timeout before that throw went up. Kevin Stewart and his staff saw that stall count rising, Megan.
Yeah, in general, I've been really impressed with a couple of timeouts that Kevin Stewart has thrown. I think that he's doing a really great job of staying into it and understanding the import of each point. One thing that we haven't talked about that is very important to talk about when we watch the Dallas Roughnecks is how they can decide to turn it on and battle back. You think a 5-point deficit is nice and cushy, but against the Roughnecks, when they decide to turn it on, when individuals start to come out and perform and do what they do best, a lead like that can diminish very, very quickly. So you can bet that Kevin Stewart is not taking anything for granted.
Just like we saw after San Diego's first timeout in the first quarter. Another personnel shift here as the primarily offensive unit steps onto the field. Tim Okita will be the one to pick this one up for San Diego with Paul Lally in the reset space. Dallas matches with its own top defensive line. Reset, tries to go to Helton, but Connor Olson fouled him. That's why that throw didn't make it more than 5 yards away. Okita tries to get another throw off, but no foul called on that turnover.
Yeah, I think he looked to fake and just accidentally let go of the disc.
First red zone turnover of the night for the San Diego Growlers. Dalton Smith looking for his options, and he calls a timeout. 5 minutes and 26 seconds left to go here in the second quarter, but both of these teams already feeling the pressure and understanding just how important these break chances are.
Yeah, and Dallas Roughnecks, again, I mentioned this before, they can certainly battle back from a deficit like this. It's something they've done before. I almost think they prefer the chaos of having to crawl out of a deficit. But all the same, they understand they have to make smart decisions in these moments as well. San Diego is continuing to look consistent and good and prepared.
Interesting storyline for this Dallas Roughnecks franchise. They came into this league as a juggernaut. They had all this imported talent. They won a title in 2016. Then they made it back to championship weekend, didn't defend their title all the way. And over the last couple of years, some of that import talent hasn't refilled on the roster. And they've been relying on more local, more homegrown, more region-centric talent. They still have a few out-of-state pieces that they rely on, but they've been working against a lot of adversity this season because they've had so many players injured, because they haven't been able to get all that talent on the same page and available and healthy at the same time. They've found themselves playing from behind quite frequently this year.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing, you know, the totality of that in their play style tonight. You just see players who you expect to have really outstanding games making some strange decisions or being forced and looking a little more uncomfortable than we've ever seen them before.
Dallas working out of the timeout at midfield with Matt Jackson. And Khalif El-Salam skies for the block. Chris Mazer appears to be injured. So play comes to a halt. We get another look. Matt Jackson throws the fake, makes the eye contact, tries to direct Mazer. It looks like the wind gets a hold of that, and I don't know, Megan, that looked like a clean block to me on the first viewing of that replay.
Yeah, that did to me as well. I'm not exactly sure where the contact occurred, but he is shaken up.
Teammates Michael Mathis and Chris Larberg working to help Mazer off the field here. Just the last thing these Roughnecks need to deal with. Another injury after the slew that they've dealt with this season. Another look at that block by El-Salam. And you hear some fans in the stands here booing, not agreeing with the referee's foul call. That disc is going to stay with Dallas, and Dalton Smith steps onto the field in place of the injured Chris Mazer. Smith shoots an inside break, and Kaplan Maurer gets there first. Jordan Queckborner was hunting, but Maurer chases that one down. He wasn't immune from injury. He had an ankle injury earlier this season, heard it playing rec sports, but he says he's feeling the best he's felt all season long. As we look back at the earlier turnovers, there was that underneath throw going off Hankey, and Okita not connecting there. Unclear if he was fouled. El-Salam earns the block, and then the referees call a foul on that one. Kaplan Maurer chases the high stall inside break throw down in the end zone.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Smith that point. He was looking back for a dump, didn't get it, turned around, immediately saw Maurer, and threw that nice inside throw for the score.
Dallas's D-line back on the field, pulling with the wind at its back. San Diego traveling with its offense into a slight upwind. Paul Lally shoots underneath, and there's a block from the Dallas Roughnecks. Zach Marbach gets the disc for Dallas, and Dalton Smith is pushing the pace after this turnover. Armour tries to step through and gets fouled before he releases that one by Tim Okita. Dallas in the red zone now. Dalton Smith thought about the scoober, decides to throw a hammer, and goodness, Lior Gavall was close to that one, but Griffin Miller, the speedster, got to the space first.
And that is often the case with Griffin Miller. His speed is tricky to beat, even if you have better position like Lior Gavall did.
Another look at this phenomenal underneath defensive block by Zach Marbach. Chasing Kyle Rubin. Full extension. And wow, the guts on Dalton Smith to release that one in the red zone. Zach Marbach, just another one of those players who's grown into a defensive stalwart for this Dallas Roughnecks squad.
Yeah, that's well said. And this is something that I have admired about the Roughnecks franchise, is they really give individual players a lot of space to grow and find their talent and find their space on the team. And Marbach is certainly one of those individuals who I think, you know, was given enough room to develop into the player he is today.
Another sideline pull. And that's no problem for the San Diego Growlers offensive unit. Jonathan Nethercutt gets it up to Milardovich, who crossed over for that point. And he hammers cross field to Goose Helton for the Growlers score.
When the Growlers are stretching the field, it is very difficult to stop their offense.
More often than not, I think this Dallas defense doesn't want to see that first upline throw get off and break things so easily. But as soon as they do, Milardovich continues and makes them pay, and we see him pulling double duty. Staying out there with his traditional defensive unit. Khalif El Salam pulls into the wind. Great defense from Hume, frustrating Hernandez, unable to receive that centering pass from Jackson. Hernandez finds Richardson. Near sideline to Maurer. Richardson surveying his options. A same third deep shot goes right by Jeff Silverman. Into the hands of Kaplan Maurer. Gabe Hernandez has it now in the red zone. Hernandez gets out of there before the double team sets. Dallas dumps and swings. Dalton Smith over to Matt Jackson. Jackson breaks the mark, and Kevin Richardson makes the grab with Turner in the area and Richardson into the end zone for Abe Coffin. Those last couple throws were exciting ones, Megan.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the excitement started with Richardson's inside put. I mean, to me, that demonstrates his versatility as a thrower, as a player. That is very difficult to execute, and here you see him make a great grab right outside of the end zone. But you are right, they are threading needles downfield.
Will Turner, third on the Growlers in the regular season with 10 blocks. So close to earning another block there, but Kevin Richardson using his size and attacking ability to reel that one in. Already 3 assists and 175 receiving yards on the night. Tim Okita fields the pull and centers to Nethercutt. Nethercutt to Helton. Helton inside to Travis Dunn. Dunn to the far sideline. Lior Gavall now. Skinny inside to Nate Pettyjohn. We've seen him go back and forth on the offense and defense with this Growlers team. Okita over to Nethercutt. Chased by Dalton Smith. Inside break to Helton. Dishy to Okita. Travis Dunn now 5 yards outside the end zone. Around break to Lior Gavall. And another 3-goal lead for the San Diego Growlers. Beg your pardon. There was a whistle. This disc is going to come back to Travis Dunn. He had to back up 10 yards. Dunn with the high release, backhand, it goes off Helton's hand. He got bumped by Griffin Miller. There was no call right away, but it looks like the referees rectified that after a second. And Goose will now have the disc centered on the goal line. Into the end zone for Jonathan Nethercutt. And there we go. San Diego has its 3-goal lead back. I spoke too soon a few seconds ago.
You did, but they still managed. They still managed just fine.
Well, Jonathan Nethercutt, we mentioned this earlier, only played one game in the regular season with the San Diego Growlers. He was a late season signing in addition. Played against LA, went 33 of 34, 97% completion percentage, 4 assists. Already tonight, he has yet to throw a turnover, 2 assists, 1 goal, figuring prominently in this Growlers offense.
Yeah, I am very impressed with Nethercutt's performance. And I recognized his talent going into it, but to join a team so close to the end of the season, to step on during the playoffs game and still do a good job of recognizing your role, but pushing the envelope when necessary.
Hernandez shoots deep for Richardson. Corbett forced him to go up, and Richardson couldn't come down with it. El Salam picks up on his goal line and gets it to Turner. 30 seconds left in the half now. No timeouts left for San Diego. El Salam up the line. 20 seconds left. Into the hands of Hunter Corbett. Corbett resets to El Salam. Up the line to Queckborner. Whistle on the play. Waiting for the referees to resolve this one. The disc is going to go back to Jordan Queckborner. He'll gain 10 yards. Throw off the line to Tran. Around, 7 seconds left, and that pass falls incomplete. Disc goes up, but a whistle. And Dallas called a timeout before that deep shot went up. So the Roughnecks are going to have another shot at the end zone after San Diego's D-line couldn't convert in the final minute here in the second quarter. Connor Olson and Kaplan Maurer having some strategic words in the midst of this timeout. The clock has been reset with 4 seconds left on the clock after that turnover and as the timeout was called. So that gives enough time for one, maybe 2 throws, if 1 or 2 throws if you're really lucky, before the Hail Mary to the end zone has to go up. So Dalton Smith is going to pick this one up. San Diego is going to start with what appears to be a double team on the mark. Abe Coffin is a reset. Lally moving back and forth between double team and lane defender. Dom Leggio will set the mark here for San Diego. Reset to Coffin. Coffin unleashes an outside in backhand. It's short of the end zone. And it's knocked away by Steven Milardovich. Who else but the man who's had 3 or more blocks in 4 straight games? His 19 blocks are tied for 5th in the AUDL this regular season. Steven Milardovich has been a clutch player for this San Diego Growlers defense. Halftime here, San Diego leads 12-9. Before halftime starts, a quick reset on some of our first half statistics. San Diego with a slightly better completion percentage, 94-93. And let's go down on the field. Our own Megan Tormey is standing by with Jonathan Helton.
Thank you so much, Ian. Goose, you talked about the offense adjustments that you were making going into this game, how you were focusing on doing the little things. Watching your offense's first half, it looked so great. How are you feeling about your performance at the first half of this game?
I think we've come out with our intensity level at just the right spot. And we started tilting maybe a little too hot there. If we can keep it even for the second half, we're going to come out on top. I'm happy with how our offense is playing.
You know, you have played against Dallas a number of times. You know what they're capable of doing. You played against them in playoffs when you were on the Raleigh Flyers. You've played against them in the championship weekend. What do you think is important for the team to remember continuing against the Dallas Roughnecks?
I mean, we're going to have to expect contact. We have great referees, so they're doing a good job trying to keep the game as clean as possible. And so we're just going to have to persevere through some of the contact. And like I said, keeping our intensity level at the right spot is probably the biggest key.
And what do you think is the important message to give to your teammates to keep the intensity level at that sweet spot?
Well, we've talked about our game plan and just making sure we try to execute that game plan as close to the dot as possible. We know what we're trying to take away. We know the matchups very well. As long as we dial into that game plan, we'll be on the right path.
All right, 3-point lead in the playoff games. Good luck in the second half.
Yep, thank you very much.
Back to you, Ian.
Thank you so much, Megan. What a first half for Jonathan Goose Helton. 3 assists, 1 goal, 324 yards of total offense, and no turnovers. And oh, by the way, he became the all-time assist leader in that first half. San Diego leads 12-9 here at the half of the West Division Championship game.
They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but there is at DraftKings. You can compete for thousands in prizes in our free-to-play pools without spending a dime. Put your knowledge to the test by answering questions about specific games or events. The more you pick right, the better your shot to win and chow down on a cash casserole. Casserole. Download the DraftKings app now. Enter with the promo code PLAYFREE for thousands and make it rain.
Welcome to another edition of Lepler's Locks presented by DraftKings, where you can join our free-to-play pool for this Saturday's playoff game between the Dallas Roughnecks and the San Diego Growlers. Free Friday Frisbee comes your way on Saturday this weekend. You can use the promo code AUDL to sign up for the DraftKings app, answer the 10 questions on the results of the second half, and you can win your share of $1,000 in cash. And if you live in a state where it's legal to do so, you can wager on this weekend's AUDL action on the DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's see if I can continue my unbelievable hot streak. 3-0 with my locks each of the past 3 weeks. Now 13-2 in the last 5 weeks since the segment began. But who's counting? I sincerely hope you've been benefiting from this resource because it has been a magical stretch of making picks. And here are my 3 locks for the final weekend of August, the first weekend of the AUDL playoffs. Number 1, got to pick one of the 2 remaining regular season games on the schedule this weekend. So I'll take the DC Breeze, -3 in Tampa Bay. It's tricky because it's a mostly meaningless game for DC, and that the Breeze know they're going to have a home playoff game next week, regardless of whether they win or lose this weekend. But I do think the Breeze will take this game seriously and want to keep that momentum rolling. They'll take care of business against the Cannons. Breeze -3 in Tampa Bay. That is my first Lepler's lock. Number 2, Saturday night in San Diego. I'm taking the Dallas Roughnecks +1.5 against the Growlers. Look, I was honestly surprised by this line. I think Dallas should be favored by 1.5 even on the road. And this isn't to say that there's no way the Growlers couldn't win by 2 and cover as the favorite. But look, Roughnecks have the track record. They appear to be peaking at the right time again. And even though San Diego's riding a 5-game winning streak, their offensive efficiency has remained very inconsistent. Dallas has shown it can win on the road. They've won a road playoff game 2 of the past 3 seasons. So Roughnecks +1.5 in San Diego. That is my second Lepler's lock. And for number 3 this week, I'm going with the Chicago Union -1.5 at home against the Minnesota Wind Chill in the Central Division title game. I just think this line's a couple points off. In my mind, I was thinking Union would be 3.5 goal favorite, and it's just 1.5. I'll lay the points and take the favorite at home. I'll be honest, I'm still not 100% sold on the Chicago team, but Minnesota has just struggled way more down the stretch of the season than their 10-2 final record would suggest. Just inconsistency from the Wind Chill, and look, I know they're capable of playing a great game and winning this thing outright on the road in Chicago. It could happen, but it's far from the most likely outcome. So Chicago -1.5. Thinking the Union will win this one by 2 to 4 goals and advance to championship weekend. That is my third and final Lepler's lock. One reminder, join our free-to-play pool for Dallas San Diego. Free Saturday Frisbee this week. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Free Friday Frisbee, but we'll roll with it. It'll be live on the DraftKings Dream stream, though, and recognize that you're running out of time to capitalize on my reign of perfect picks. 9-0 the past 3 weeks. This week I got DC -3, Dallas +1.5, and Chicago -1.5. Those are this week's Lepler's locks.
The playoffs in the West Division, the San Diego Growlers at 12, the Dallas Roughnecks at 9, Travis Dunn doing what he does best, making plays for the Growlers. We have seen his versatility so far this game here. Nethercutt recognizing Dunn is attacking the deep space, puts up a dime for Travis Dunn to run down. Connecting with one of his favorite players on the team, Lior Gabal. cutting perfectly for Dunn, as he does so many times. And Goose Helton also found his teammate in the end zone. And you see the spacing that this creates when Travis Dunn is stretching the field. 2 goals, 1 assist. Travis Dunn making plays as we expected, Ian.
Well, there's no coincidence that this man has been in the league MVP conversation for year after year. You take a look at this first half performance. 80 yards quarterbacking, 197 receiving, 3 goals, 1 assist, no turns yet. The fact that neither he nor Nethercutt have turned the disc over yet, and they're such valuable pieces of this offense that get important touches, is a really good sign for this Growlers offense.
It is, but they almost haven't even had time to have turnovers. Their offense has been scoring so quickly, so efficiently. They're not throwing the kind of high volume throws that you would expect that generates those kind of turnover opportunities.
Second half getting underway here in San Diego. Dallas pulling from left to right. I was actually just down on the field a moment ago, and I can tell you, the wind has softened considerably from the slight thrower's wind that we had in the first quarter of this game. So teams moving from left to right will probably have an easier go of it in the second half here. Sun sets and the weather calms as Goose Helton has the disc on the far sideline for San Diego. Gets it back from Okita. Over to Nethercutt. Looks to reset. Goose attacks up line. Nethercutt gets it back. Nethercutt, cross field. Paul Lally is there.
This is one of the things I love about Nethercutt. In his periphery is the entirety of the field. As the offense started to squeeze to the close sideline, Nethercutt did not lose sight of that far corner of the end zone. And if there's anyone who has the comfort to put a beauty to that space, it is Jonathan Nethercutt.
Jonathan Nethercutt living in Golden, Colorado. He's been getting reps playing with a club team based out of Boulder with a lot of Colorado Mama Bird products. Of course, one famous Colorado Mama Bird product used to play on this team, Jimmy Mickle, back in its inaugural season. Khalif El Salam pulls once again for the Growlers defense. Chris Mazer back out onto the field after sustaining contact with Khalif El Salam in the second quarter. Richardson pumps the deep shot. Breaks the mark to Henke. Inside to Mazer. Mazer over his mark to Coffin. Continues down that far sideline. Kyle Henke's in the end zone, and that's an easy catch, no matter whether he has a cast on or not.
Starting to see the hints of an offense firing in the capacity that we know they have. That looked clean and comfortable, and we have not seen Dallas look comfortable yet this game.
Abe Coffin with the assist there. Kyle Henke, that's just his first goal of this game, Megan. You think about the performances he's racked up this season. Even when he's had this cast on, back in July when this Roughneck squad beat San Diego at home, he had 3 assists, 3 goals, and 3 blocks. There's still another half of Ultimate to play. A little surprising to see him that quiet on the stat sheet.
Yeah, I don't know that he's ever had so quiet of a half of Ultimate.
Cohen gets it around to Dunn. Dunn breaks the mark to Lally. Chambers sold out for that one, and now he's playing catch-up. Petty John. Centers to Nethercutt, who has to attack. A bidding Dalton Smith sold out for that one. Nethercutt exploits the switch. Gets it back and attacks again. Off the line to Okita. Plenty of time for Nethercutt to reel that one in. Around to Dunn. San Diego in the red zone now. Okita lays out to save possession and throws a blade. Looking for Jesse Cohen on that near sideline. Thought he might have sustained some contact from Gabe Hernandez as well. We have a stoppage.
Yeah, Okita seems incredulous that there wasn't a call.
Okita takes an injury and steps off the field. Steven Milardovich, team blocks leader, will step in for him, and San Diego falls into a zone defense here as Gabe Hernandez picks this up 5 yards from his own goal line. Hernandez knifes through the defense. Taylor continues to Larberg, back to Taylor. Taylor wants to uncork that hammer that we've seen him unleash several times this season. And he does there, crossfield to Larberg. He reels it in. Resets to Hernandez. Dallas on the doorstep now. Hernandez gives and goes. Front cone to Mason Wunsch. And Dallas has its first break of the second half. Trailing by 2 now, 13-11.
Here we can see the play. I'm not quite sure what forced that throw from Okita.
It looked like Jesse Cohen was cutting to that lane from the back of the stack. But I agree, when you look at the execution, it does look a little confusing.
Yeah. Dallas did a great job of just finding every open throw and immediately putting it. That was some great red zone offense. I mean, they had to move the disc just a few feet here and there, and they still managed to sneak it past the San Diego defense.
Jim Davis telling us before the game that hammer you saw from Hunter Taylor, that's an intentional part of their D-line offense at this point of the season.
And he also mentioned that Larberg was a receiver of that hammer.
It's almost like that's exactly the play they wanted to draw up after they got the turnover. Dallas backing San Diego up. As Michael Tran crosses over here, we've got San Diego's traditional D-line out there, hoping to work on the hold for this Growlers unit. As we see another call, this disc will go back into the hands of Dom Leggio. A pick was called downfield, and he'll back up 10 yards. Leggio looks to break the mark, and Lewis was there, colliding with Helton. Lewis went to high point that one. Leggio marked by Chambers. Beg your pardon, marked by Zach Marbach. Tries to throw the around break. Ben Lewis tried to high point that one.
I mean, Ben Lewis went up first. I don't know. Looking at it that angle again, I'm not exactly sure what call I would make.
The referees do call it a foul. I do see an argument there for Lewis kind of launching himself into Helton.
Yep.
He was attacking vertically, but he was also moving horizontally and diagonally into Helton and into that space that Helton was attacking as well. Helton back to Leggio. Leggio breaks the mark up that sideline. Corbett fakes a big shot up to Turner. Leggio, so important quarterbacking this point after San Diego was broken on the last one. He's played plenty of center handler for this San Diego Growlers squad. Leggio resets to Corbett. Now Turner. Turner shoots into the end zone. Ben Lewis falls down. Ben Lewis giving chase. He had position and then wiped out, and Jonathan Helton was there to reel that one in.
That is not how I saw that play unfolding. I mean, here it just looks like the execution is so far off that Lewis is clearly going to get the D, but his feet go out from under him, and Goose is sticking with that throw.
And you can see Goose pulling up for a second, and then you see the surprise on his face there, Megan.
Incredible play.
Jonathan Helton doing everything he can tonight to send this squad back to championship weekend for the second season in a row. Maurer up to Henke. Connor Olson crossing over. Dalton Smith, starting to see him play a little more offense as we get into crunch time here in the second half. Mazer up to Maurer. Matt Jackson attacks up the line. San Diego defender had peeled off, and then the shot into the end zone. Connor Olson just sticks that one with his hand.
Great cutting movement from Matt Jackson. And then releases quickly, but I have to give the credit to Olson for making that catch. There was no margin for error.
We'll play free for thousands in cash all season long with DraftKings free-to-play pools. Just download the DraftKings app today and use the promo code AUDL when you sign up. So happy you're spending your Saturday night with us on the DraftKings Dream stream. San Diego Growlers leading 14-12. The winner of this game earns the first ticket to championship weekend in Washington, D.C. 2 weekends from now. Jonathan Nethercutt resets to Okita. Nethercutt stretches the around to Lally. Pumps the deep shot. Resets to Nethercutt. Lally looks inside, and Lior Gaval saves possession. Okita off to the races. Dunn into the hands of Lally and back to Dunn. San Diego attacking the red zone now. Foul called, and the Growlers get to march 10 yards forward. A lot of contact there at the front of the stack. That's going to be a foul on Tim Okita. Looked like he bowled over Chris Larberg there, Megan. So a flagrant foul, we believe, was the call from the referees there. And that backs San Diego up 10 yards. I beg your pardon, 20 yards instead of the traditional 10. Done around to Lally. Jesse Cohen Wraps around at the front of the stack, marked by Hunter Taylor. Into the end zone, Lior Gaval is there once again. How many times has Lior Gaval made a possession-saving grab or found a sneaky space in the end zone tonight, Megan?
I mean, that's what he does for the Growlers. And when I watch him, I often think of Cameron Brock from the Indianapolis Alley Cats. You just watch him, and suddenly he's open in the end zone. And you're not exactly sure how he did it. I mean, there were 2 Dallas Roughneck defenders in the area, capable of making a play, but Gaval is just so good at finding the space and keeping in his periphery his defenders. So he times his cuts as the disc is traveling around to the person who's going to throw the goal and pivots to make that cut.
Lior Gaval and Travis Dunn leading the way for the Growlers with 3 goals and 1 assist apiece. Growlers D-line ramping up the pressure here. Abe Coffin uncorks another backhand. Steps for Kyle Henke, and that's an easy one. The cast-to-cast connection as Henke reels in his 2nd goal of the night.
Dallas has not had a bunch of goals that have looked this easy. They have had to work very hard for their scores. But I think this is the 2nd one that we've seen from Dallas where there just was not nearly enough pressure from San Diego.
Tell you what, San Diego's got a 2-goal lead here in the 2nd half, but they'd be wise to not let Abe Coffin step into any more backhands, because that one healthy wrist has a heck of a lot of power in it. The initial plan tonight was for him to play a lot of defense, and we see him crossing over, filling that O-line handler role as the clock winds down. Nethercutt around to Travis Dunn. Smooth continuation here into the hands of Okita. Nethercutt matching up with Dalton Smith. They've been battling all night long. A lot of respect between those two. They've battled over the years, dating back to Nethercutt's days on the Raleigh Flyers. Reset to Okita, just a little tricky. Lior Gaval. Throw into space for Okita. Dalton Smith pulls up. You know, to be fair, Megan, yes, that did result in contact.
Yes.
But I think you and I can both acknowledge that Dalton pulled up.
Yes.
He saw the opportunity to hunt for the poach block. We know how dangerous that can be when you peel off a defender at the front of the stack.
No, absolutely, you're right. And as soon as he saw Okita entering this space, he did attempt to avoid making contact.
Okita. There's a little 360. And then that results in an easy flick into the end zone for Goose Helton. Tim Okita not afraid to be aggressive with the disc in his hands, especially with his pivots and non-throwing movements. Okita leading this team in completion percentage in this season among players who'd played at least 10 games. The left-handed handler, an important focal point for this Growlers offense. San Diego Growlers home crowd coming to life with some customized cheers here right below our press box, hoping to fire up the defense and confuse Dallas's offense. Another junky look here from the Growlers, trying to disrupt the flow of that Roughnecks offense right off the pull. One minute remaining here in the third quarter of the West Division Championship game. Dallas trailed by as many as 5 at the end of the first quarter. A fantastic possession saving grab by Connor Olson. He's got the Roughnecks on the goal line. And he shoots into the end zone for Kevin Richardson with a little knee spike and jog back onto the bench. Connor Olson. We've seen this man uncork phenomenal flick hucks. We've seen him play tremendous defense. And here, it's the receiving ability and the willingness to sacrifice the body.
Yeah, he's just made a couple of really outstanding grabs today. The first one, that cheeky throw from Jackson that came in pretty hot outside the end zone, and there that layout to maintain possession outside of their end zone. And Kevin Richardson, I mean, he's quietly having a great game tonight. Richardson is. We've seen him make some great grabs. Couple assists, couple of goals under his belt. It is really fun to see him on the field tonight. I know I've said it before, but I have been so eager to watch him in action.
Dallas pulls to San Diego with 30 seconds left to go here in this third quarter. Helton sends Dunn into space. Gavall has steps, and he cut underneath. A miscommunication, and Dallas will now have 15 seconds to march this down the field. Can they do anything with it? Wunsch sends it upfield to Hernandez. Hernandez sees the clock running out. There's a double team. He unleashes a flick. Dunn is there. Dunn comes down with the block. So Travis Dunn, clearly frustrated by his turnover earlier in the point, makes up for it with an end of quarter end zone block.
Yeah, that was a surprising miscommunication between Gavall and Dunn. And Dallas wasn't able to capitalize, but it still means that there's only a 2-point margin for the San Diego Growlers going into the fourth quarter.
Dallas led by San Diego led by as many as 5 goals in the first quarter, and Dallas is clawing back. 16-14 San Diego. Winner goes to championship weekend.
They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but there is at DraftKings. You can compete for thousands in prizes in our free-to-play pools without spending a dime. Put your knowledge to the test by answering questions about specific games or events. The more you pick right, the better your shot to win and chow down on a cash casserole. Casserole. Download the DraftKings app now. Enter with the promo code PLAYFREE for thousands and make it rain.
"12 minutes left of regulation play here at Mission Bay High School in San Diego. The Growlers looking to advance to their second consecutive championship weekend. Dallas looking to keep its streak alive and make it back for a 5th consecutive season. The playoffs have started. This is now also week 13 of this 2021 AUDL season. We've got some Canada Cup action coming tomorrow. We also have a few regular season games in the Atlantic Division that have to finish up and have important ramifications for how that seeding heading into the Atlantic Division playoffs next weekend will shake out. And then tomorrow night, don't forget, the Wind Chill travel to Chicago, 6 p.m. Eastern. That game will be live on AUDL TV. The winner takes the Central Division crown and books the second ticket to championship weekend. Dallas, offense back out on the field, and Coffin catches that one with his casted hand. Olsen continues to Hankey. Hankey off the line to Olsen. Around to Jackson. Jackson throwing fakes to get that front of the stack to move, but it's swatted. Max Hume knocks it down before Abe Coffin can reel it in. Turner. Up to Queckborner. San Diego with an opportunity to break to start the fourth quarter. Turner to El Salam. He's been all over the field tonight, unleashing deep shots, earning blocks. Can't forget that point block he had in the first quarter as we see a timeout called by Kevin Stewart and his staff. I tell you what, we've talked about this once or twice before. It's so funny to look at the motivated defensive player's reaction after the coach calls the timeout that effectively signals, hey, I'm sorry, you guys have done great up until this point, but you're not going to be able to march this one in. I'm putting the other guys on.
Yeah, it is definitely fun to watch their reaction, as you just said. But again, we can't stress the importance of decision making in these moments. As you said, Dallas is clearly clawing back. Kevin Stewart knows that this is absolutely crucial for them to maintain possession and convert. So these are the kinds of decisions that as a coach you think back and want back if they don't go your way.
So look at what the numbers are telling us. San Diego was off to a hot start in that first quarter, but their defensive break conversion rate has just plummeted since then. Dallas has started capitalizing on some of those opportunities as they've earned some more of those blocks, Megan.
Yeah, and that's something that the Growlers have kind of ebbed and flowed with over the season. They've generated lots of opportunity and then been really smart with the disc, and then they've generated opportunities and not been able to convert. So it's something that that they haven't always been able to pinpoint throughout the season.
Travis Dunn wasn't in on that one, thought he hopped it in, was not quite in the end zone, throws an elevator backhand. Collision at the front. Who else is there but Lior Gaval? And it's good to see the man he essentially barreled into, Zach Marbach, okay, able to get up under his own power and some mutual understanding after that point comes to a close.
Yeah, that's an uncharacteristic look for San Diego outside of the red zone, is that much traffic to the point where any throw in is bound to result in that kind of collision.
Travis Dunn had the stall count rising, and two different receivers attacking that area, two defenders there, a third one trying to peel off. The pure emotion on the face and in the words of head coach Kevin Stewart. He knows how critical that hold was here in this fourth quarter. Richardson centers up to Mazer for the Roughnecks offense. Maurer gets it underneath. What a grab by Kyle Hankey. Sticks out his healthy hand, reaches around the unaware Growler defender, and saves possession. contact there results in a foul and gives Dallas 10 more yards. Henke sends it over to Richardson. Back to Henke. Kaplan Maurer into the end zone. Matt Jackson is there. Jackson normally sending shots into the end zone from the handler space, but feeling opportunistic.
Yeah, I've really been impressed with Jackson's cutting tonight. He has been really aggressive, attacking and making space. And just there, seeing that opportunity to make his way into the end zone. He has been really preemptive with his legs this evening.
Matt Jackson, 1 goal, 1 assist, 256 yards of offense for this Dallas Roughnecks O-line. Once again, San Diego centers to Jonathan Nethercutt, the man who only played 1 game in the regular season. And they're off to the races, but Kai Marshall blocks Travis Dunn's deep shot. A push pass from Dalton Smith gets it started. He and Michael Mathis play catch after the turnover. Kai Marshall gets the disc back. The man who had 5 blocks against these San Diego Growlers in the 2019 semis makes his presence known, and then Dalton Smith wastes a golden opportunity. A blade into the end zone, knocked down, and you could see him accepting responsibility right away. Jesse Cohen. High release backhand to Dunn. Nethercutt uncorks the backhand. Lally is unmarked. 5 yards outside the end zone. Resets to Okita. Back to Lally, and he's in the end zone. San Diego has a 3-goal lead again. And if you're a Roughnecks fan, I hate to pour salt on the wound, but remember that turnover from Dalton Smith if this ends up being a 1-goal game.
I mean, that throw was absolutely canceled by the long arms of Kai Marshall, and then I'm just not entirely sure who that was intended for. But Lally, just two throws prior to his catch in the end zone. You know, I want to credit him for making some really great adjustments with the addition of Jonathan Nethercutt. He has been really great at finding his way into downfield space when it seems appropriate. He's really flowing well with the new addition to the offensive line. You know, and it's resulted in a 2nd goal for the evening.
Dallas's offense keeping that offensive unit that's been taking shape late in this season together. Kevin Richardson looking for his options, gets it back to Kaplan Maurer. Deep shot. Reeled in by, beg your pardon, I was about to say Connor Olson, but that's Kevin Richardson. Kaplan Maurer looks like he saw the matchup, liked his odds. Richardson certainly has a couple inches on his defender there, Turner. Strong pressure, but not a ton you can do when you're giving up that much size.
Yeah, and you see, again, Richardson just so good at stutter stepping to maintain his position and keep his defender at his back. That is the 2nd goal for Richardson this evening, 3 assists.
Richardson nearing 500 yards of total offense.
Wow.
For this Roughnecks O-line. They have to love having him back at the most important time of year. Helton Fakes the deep shot. Givall comes underneath. Travis Dunn, not marked by Kai Marshall on this point. Helton had the disc in power position. Resets to Dunn. Hernandez on the mark there. Chasing Tim Okita around. We've seen him shifting his role throughout this game. He started on offense, but a lot more defense here in this second half. Goose Helton. Another reset to Lior Givall. And honestly, Megan, this style of play and catch, eat and clock, that favors San Diego given their 2-goal margin right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They know that Dallas has the capability to score quickly, so the time that they are using up, and you can see how aggressively they're trying to stretch the field. They're not giving the defense opportunity to get run through Ds as they work the disc around.
Gabe Hernandez tries to come up with that one.
I think Armour got the tiniest piece of that throw.
I believe there was either there was a pick call. So Paul Lally is going to get the disc back, and he'll march back 10 yards. Travis Dunn. Last second decision to give that to Lally. Contact there from Armour. Merits a foul. And Lally walks up 10 yards. Goose Helton battling Chris Larberg all night. Larberg looking at the ref, pleading for a foul. No call on that one. And San Diego eats a lot of clock with that hold, Megan.
Yeah, it looked like Larberg was wrapping his arm around Goose.
I can see arguments for both sides there. I saw Larberg with his left arm slightly extended. It was more than your average, hey, I'm just going to jostle with your arms a little bit. It was out there in the lane. And Goose was jockeying and juking. And, he eventually lowered his shoulder a little bit. So I think I can see calls both ways in that instance. I understand why the referees opted not to call anything, as Chris Mazer shoots deep for Kevin Richardson once again. That throw hits the turf before he can get there. Clock continues to run here as Turner picks up the disc on his own goal line. Tough reset throw off the line, but he completes it to Milardovic. And he uses San Diego's second and final timeout of this second half. 4:31 left to go here in this fourth quarter. San Diego enjoying a 3-goal lead.
Yeah, San Diego really put themselves in prime position by taking up as much time as they did the previous point. I believe they ate somewhere around 3 minutes off the clock, just bouncing it back and forth. And then that dropped catch from Kevin Richardson, that throw from Chris Mazer that dropped just a little bit shy of the end zone, really putting Dallas in a nearly impossible spot.
Great. Back there with him.
San Diego's offensive unit coming back out onto the field, as we've seen multiple times tonight after the D-line calls a timeout. None left for San Diego. One left for the Dallas Roughnecks. Disc comes in, and Jonathan Nethercutt gets things started with a scooper. Paul Lally in no hurry whatsoever. Gets it back from Dunn. Resets to Helton. Pettyjohn. Off the hands of Jesse Cohen. He went up with one hand. Had the opportunity to go up with two, a coach might say.
Yeah.
Smith resets to Armour, who sends it up to Griffin Miller. Armour to Kai Marshall in the red zone now. Marshall throws the hammer and it's off the mark. Another red zone turnover in the fourth quarter from this Dallas Roughnecks D-line.
I mean, they knew they had to score quickly, and when you have to score quickly, you do have to take dicey shots, but the execution just not there on that hammer throw.
Armour, that bid rolling up onto Lally's left leg. Fortunate to see him up under his own power. The referees will rule that one a flagrant. So Lally will get to advance 20 yards. He's going to take an injury after that contact. Dom Leggio stepping onto the field to replace Lally. Jonathan Nethercutt will get this disc back in play for the Growlers. 3:20 left in regulation here in this championship game in the West Division. An outside-in blade that just shatters the Dallas defense. Into the end zone for Nate Pettyjohn, unmarked.
The San Diego Growlers' ability to withstand pressure this season has been impressive. And even in this game, as we saw Dallas start to make hints at a comeback, the Growlers did not fold in any capacity. They trusted their systems, they trusted each other. We find ourselves with 3 minutes and 5 seconds remaining and a 4-point lead for the Growlers. And you just have to think the preparation that went into this game really gave them the mental edge to put up the kind of performance we have seen this evening.
All week long, the question was, how will Dallas be able to integrate these pieces that are getting healthy late in the season? And will this team just have a natural advantage with so many pieces of its core having traveled to championship weekend so many years in a row, as another throw goes awry for the Dallas Roughnecks? Now 2 minutes and 30 seconds left as Tran resets to Turner. Queckborner. San Diego is out of timeouts. Queckborner gets it to Khalif El Salam. Off the line to Tran. Max Hume sends it around to Queckborner. Scott Radlauer sends it up to Khalif El Salam. He shoots across field. Max Hume is there! Well, Kaplan Maurer did all he could to save possession there, but he couldn't get his hand on that disc. And San Diego's D-line worked through a few sketchy situations, maintained possession, and now these Growlers, 1.5 goal favorites coming into this game. Many in Ultimate Media didn't think that was a smart line. Many thought Dallas should still be the favorite, given their history of success in these settings. And unless something catastrophic happens in this next minute and 40, San Diego's going to shut a lot of people up. Deep shot to Lewis. On the money. Dallas is back within 4 with 1:29 remaining.
That one was certainly for pride from the Dallas Roughnecks. And Ian, I have to agree with you. I certainly thought that the line was misplaced. And I thought that the Growlers had it within them to keep the game incredibly close. I did not see this kind of margin coming into the game. But San Diego had a game plan, and they have stuck with it every single quarter.
Well, San Diego won the first quarter 9-4. Biggest lead against Dallas at any point this season. Dallas came back and won the second quarter 5-3, won the third quarter 5-4. But in crunch time here, the Growlers have held on to their lead and lengthened it. San Diego content to just reset the disc between its backfield. Travis Dunn with the disc now. We don't yet know what the Atlantic Division playoffs will be as Goose Helton shoots deep for Jesse Cohen, who's got nothing but time. Jonathan Helton just putting on one of the best performances of his career, to be honest, this evening. 4 assists, 4 goals, 1 block, 0 turnovers, 485 yards of total offense. And after the Dallas Roughnecks have ended his season in each of the last 3 seasons, it looks like Goose will end Dallas's. 45 seconds left. Coffin believed that Shackner knocked that disc out before he released it, so Coffin will maintain possession. San Diego still hanging on to a 5-goal lead. So San Diego will advance to face the highest remaining seed from the Atlantic Division at championship weekend. Even though San Diego has the same 10-2 record as both Central Division teams, San Diego has an inferior regular season point differential. So we still need the Atlantic Division regular season to finish up and the playoffs to unfold next weekend to understand who their matchup at championship weekend will be. As Dallas gets one more hold in garbage time, Richardson working the disc around to Jackson. And Jackson continues into the end zone to Chris Mazer. And the San Diego crowd is on its feet for the second year in a row. These Growlers are going to head to championship weekend. And to do so, they're going to dethrone a franchise that had been there 4 seasons in a row. the franchise that ended their season at championship weekend in 2019. Dallas sends a roller pull out the sidelines. Paul Lally going to pick this up with 7.9 seconds remaining. Scuba over the top, into the hands of Travis Dunn. He sends it up to Lior Gaval. And that's all, folks. The San Diego Growlers are your 2021 West Division champions. This is a team that, when it first started, tried the method of bringing in a lot of talent from out of state. The likes of Jimmy Mickle and Nick Lance. Of course, Mickle jumped ship and went to the Roughnecks the following season, and then took them a while to get into the playoffs. Took them longer to get to championship weekend. And now they're heading back to the championship weekend for the second season in a row. And they're making their case to cement themselves as the premier franchise in the West Division. If you look at Jonathan Nethercutt, the new addition, shaking hands there with Dan Emmons, another one of those players. A tough decision to scratch him. Goose Helton celebrating. Once again, let's just remind everyone of his incredible stat line in this game. 5 assists, 4 goals, 535 yards. In elimination. We'd seen Goose change his role on this offense over this season. We'd seen him handle a lot more, and tonight he was the dynamic threat that he's been his whole career, with the disc in his hands and receiving. As Jim Davis, Gabe Hernandez, and Abe Coven, they've got the offseason to start planning. Megan Tormey is standing by with the new West Division champion, Travis Dunn. Megan.
Thanks, Ian. Travis, your team just punched a ticket to championship weekend. How are you feeling?
I don't know. It's hard to describe, honestly. That was an incredible game, and that's got to be the best win that we've had as a franchise. So, you know, to come up in this big spot and play our best game like that, you know, from the opening pull, I felt like we really took control of the game. And our defense, again, I mean, I told Evan last week they put us in position to win by way more than we did, and I think they did the same thing again tonight. So hopefully when we get out there in a couple of weeks, we'll keep picking them up on the offensive end too.
And this is the team that bested you in the 2019 championship. So certainly this victory has to feel particularly sweet. What do you think it means to the team to know that you got revenge from your defeat in the 2019 championship?
Oh, it definitely means a lot. I mean, we've added a lot of new faces, and you know everybody knows that, but we still have a lot of the same guys out here. So to come back to a team that ended our last season and conversely end theirs, it really means a lot to us.
Leading into this week, I know that your leadership came up with a plan, and it really looked like San Diego was committed to it. Talk a little bit about what about this team was capable of sticking to that kind of commitment and coming out with that product.
I think over the course of this season, we've built a level of confidence that we maybe haven't quite reached in the past, and I think that level of confidence allows us to feel 100% with whatever the game plan is. So, you know, defensively and offensively, we come out with a plan in mind, and I think that we truly, you know, top to bottom of the roster, we all believe that we can stick to that plan and execute it. So once we've got that level of confidence, it's really easy to just go out and play.
All right, well, thanks for your time. Congrats on a great win. Ian, back to you.
Fantastic stuff, Megan. Just pure emotion from Travis Dunn. If you couldn't tell from the atmosphere, from the look on his face, he said it. the biggest win in San Diego Growlers franchise history. They entered this game as 1.5-point favorites, and they came out firing. San Diego jumped out to a 9-4 lead in the first quarter. Its defense earning 5 blocks in that first quarter alone. Dallas mounting its own comeback in the second half, but the fourth quarter belonged to the San Diego Growlers. A stellar performance from Jonathan Goose Helton, one for the ages. Abe Coffin and Kyle Henke. The cast connection clicked, but didn't have the explosive performance that we've seen from that duo in years past. That's going to do it for us here from San Diego. On behalf of Megan Tormey and our production crew, I'm Ian Toner saying so long. For the San Diego Growlers are your West Division champions. Don't forget tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, Central Division Championship. Coming your way on AUDL.tv.